Hi guys, welcome to another one of my videos. Today, as you can tell from the title of my thumbnail, is going to be all about the 10 books I want to read before the end of December, before the end of this year. They call it 10 before the end. No clue why, other than the fact that it rhymes. Am I going to get through all 10 of these books before the end of December? Highly doubtful. So this isn't the books I am going to read for sure before the end of December. This is just more of a, these are the books I would really like to have done. I really want to read them before the end of the year. So here is my 10 before the end, and let me know if you guys have already read any of these books and tell me what you think without the spoilers. Right. So first off, I'm going to start with the two books that I do not have in my possession currently. The first book out of 10 to the end is book 2 of the Gods and Monsters series. I read book 1 just last month in October, and that was the Book of Azrael. And oh my gosh, you guys, that book was incredible. God tier book. I absolutely had to get book 2. Is currently in the mail coming to me, but for whatever reason, Amazon has been hiccuping with me lately. It's like they continuously forget my address, even though like they'll sit there and tell me that they shipped it or they're getting ready to ship it, but then they'll tell me that my address is wrong and then I need to fix it, and then they don't send my stuff. But see, here's the thing. I've had the same address on there for years, and there has never ever been a problem. But suddenly, in the last 2 months, my address is wrong, even though clearly it's not. And clearly they've been sending us our stuff for years and haven't had a problem. So I don't know what's going on with that. My husband seems to think that Amazon's just dropping the ball and giving random excuses as to why our stuff's not shipping when it should be. Anyways, I'm digressing here, okay? If you're not familiar with the Gods and Monsters series, book 1 is basically just about this girl, Diana, who, in order to save her sister, she makes a deal with this very powerful being, and he pretty much recreates her into being something else in order to save her sister. And now she is pretty much his attack dog, and she's had to do a lot of horrible things, and the only reason why she's doing it is because she wants to keep her sister safe, and she knows that if she were to tell this guy no, that she wasn't going to work for him anymore, that he would kill her sister. This god ends up coming down to basically to protect the world, to stop a war, to figure out what was going on. She and him end up together, working together to try to find this Book of Azrael before the bad guy does. And so all these events are happening, and then there's this chemistry between her and this god whose name's Liam. And he's going through his own traumatic experiences. It's like he's got godly PTSD, right? Which kind of makes sense because he's really old and he's been through a lot of wars, and he's been through a lot of destruction, and he's just got a lot going on. And so it's just their individual stories and how they come together and work together. And it's just an amazingly beautiful telling, beautiful story. Book 1, which is, again, the Book of Azrael, ended in a massive cliffhanger. And I absolutely have to know what happens. There's a whole series. I don't think I'm gonna get through the whole series, but I at least want to get book 2 done before the end of the year. The second book hasn't come out yet, and that is book 2 to Quicksilver, that is called Brimstone. Again, another god tier book for me. Quicksilver, totally god tier. Left me with goosebumps. It is a book still to this day, even though I read it, more towards the beginning to middle aspect of the year. That is a story that still follows me wherever I go. I am a huge Kingfisher fan. Cannot wait to get into book 2 and find out what happens, because again, another cliffhanger. It's kind of left up in her whole life, her everything about her, everything, all of her choices, everything is being just thrown in this mix of craziness that happened at the end of book 1. It's been a while since Quicksilver came out. I'm hoping that with Brimstone, that maybe they learned a little bit of their lessons with their writing, and hopefully the writing will be a bit better. But again, book 1 was so good. The story, everything was so good that I was able to get beyond the bad writing. So this is my only concern, that if Brimstone doesn't live up to the same standard as Quicksilver, I might not be able to get into it if they don't fix the writing issues. But basically, you have this girl ends up in another world, and she has got this ability to basically travel between worlds through like Quicksilver portals. She ends up basically being stuck in this other realm and being forced to help Kingfisher and this kingdom. And if she can do that, if she can make these weapons and do these things with her Quicksilver, then she can go home back to her brother. But I cannot wait for that to come out. It's release date, I believe, is like the 17th. Yes, please. 17th isn't going to come fast enough, in my opinion. Next, we have The King of Greed by Anna Wong. I am really looking forward to this story. This is the Kings of Sin series. It is a series, but each one of them is about their own individual couples. And I'm looking forward to this one mainly because of its trope. You have Dominic Davenport, who's like the king of Wall Street, and he's really busy. He's been mostly focused on his career and his life and making all of this money. That's just who he is. And he marries Alessandra. This just says that she's been his trophy wife for years. From the first two books that I read, you kind of get a view of these two, and it seems like a very loveless marriage, that he's never around her. She's always on her own. He doesn't pay attention to her, very much like she just wants to leave. And in her story and in his story, it sounds like she finally decides to say, F it, I'm done with this marriage, I'm getting out of here. And she ends up leaving him. And you kind of see her in book 2 starting to take those steps. When it becomes clear that she'll always come second to his work, she finally takes charge of her life and puts herself first, even if it means leaving the only man she's ever loved. So she did love him, and that's probably why she gave him so many chances to notice her, and he just didn't. And then it says, but what she didn't count on was his refusal to let her go, or for him to fight for their marriage no matter what it takes. You guys, this sounds so good. They're already married, already have years of time together. And then this is just about a man who's fighting to try to keep his wife, his marriage. And I'm here for it. Like, it's almost like second chance in a way. I don't know why, but I read the back of this, oh my gosh, probably shortly after I read book 1. And I knew I was going to love this book. And next we have Firebird. I so want to read this one before the end of December. This has been on my TBR for several months now. And I know that so many people are over the sprayed edges. They think that it's getting a little too crazy. It's getting a little out of hand. I personally love it, and every book could do it, in my opinion, because I mean, nobody thinks that the covers on books is too much. So why do sprayed edges matter, right? But that's just my personal opinion. But I loved the spray edges on this book. Our book is just really cool. And the cover, you guys, I mean, it's such a beautiful cover, in my opinion. This is set during the Roman Empire, and the MMC in this book, he's a Roman general, and he's like the nephew to the emperor. Julianus, I believe is what his name is. And then the FMC is Melina. When Julianus first sees Melina, she's a dancer at one of the imperial parties, and he is enamored with her right away. And then years go by, and they meet again on the battlefield. And Melina is completely surrounded. She's in danger. She's about ready to pretty much die, I guess. And he ends up saving her by, guess what? You heard it, transforming into his dragon form. And he knows, and his dragon knows, that Melina belongs to them. And even though he's keeping a secret from her, she knows that there's something different about him. And she knows that he's keeping secrets, but she's not sure what. All she knows is that he's trying to protect her, and she feels this connection between them, and she trusts him, and they end up going on this long, adventurous, dangerous journey together. I'm here for it 100%. Book 5 on my 10 to the end is Metal Slinger. This is another book that I have had on my TBR shelf for quite some time now. And this is book 1 to Fire and Metal. And for all I know, book 2 could already be out. Honestly, I bought this book and I just never got around to reading it. You have the FMC Bren, who basically was an orphan that was kind of adopted into this group of people that live on this island. And you have 2 different groups of people. You got these people on the island, and the people on the island, if they ever want to get off it, it's like they're stuck on this island, and the only chance that they get to get off the island is if you're a guard of this island. Once a year, you get to go to the market and buy supplies and things that you need to basically survive another year on the island. So Bren, even though she's not a native people to the island, the island people kind of have adopted her, and she wants to get off the island. And so she trains and works really, really hard to become a guard, an island guard, so that she can get off the island and go to the market. And when she gets to the market, a lot of bad things happen. And somehow, supposedly, she ends up breaking a centuries-long treaty. And then she ends up running across this enemy guard who basically tells her, I know who you are, I know who your people are, and you're coming with me. It's like he was tasked to bring her to her people. And so they end up on this big long journey of him trying to take her home to her real people. And then she learns that magic's real and that she has access to it. All of this stuff just opens her eyes to the fact that she really knew nothing about her life and the world that she's living in. And it just sounds really amazing. Like back here it says, packed with knife fights and seafaring adventure, Metal Slinger is the smash hit start to the romantic fantasy fire and metal duology. The breakout romantasy sensation that has taken the internet by storm, bursting with suspense, romance, and breathtaking twists. Yes, please. This book, I've been eyeing it for a while, and I just never get to it. Yeah. Book 6 of my Pen Before the End is Spark of the Everflame. I know, you guys, I have not gotten to this series yet. There's a whole series out there, and I haven't even gotten to it yet. What? I know, that's crazy. And again, also sprayed edges, so pretty. I love them. So in this one, it says, in a mortal world colonized by the gods and ruled over by the Descended, their cruel magical offspring, Diem Bellator, yearns to escape her poor village. Her mother's sudden disappearance and the discovery of a dangerous secret about her past offer Diem an unexpected opportunity to enter the dark world of Descended royalty and unlock the web of mysteries her mother left behind. With the dying king's handsome, enigmatic heir watching her every move, and a ruthless rebel alliance recruiting her to join the growing civil war, Diem will have to navigate the unwritten rules of love, power, and politics in order to save her family and all of mortal kind. With a detailed world building, a brooding and troubled anti-hero, and a heroine with a strong backbone struggling between duty to family, love, and all mortal kind, this epic slow-burn romantasy is a page-turner for the romance and fantasy fans alike. Sounds really good. I think a part of me has been kind of hesitant because like the whole royals, high society type books, I'm not a huge fan of, I'm going to be honest. A lot of them are so alike. You read one high, like royalty, high society book, you kind of read them all because they all end up having the same type of plots, the same type of hurdles, the same type of issues. And so that's the only thing that has had me kind of hesitant to read this book. But I do love the cover. I've heard a lot of great things about it. And I had it on my TBR at one point. I just never got around to it. And look at the design of all the chapters. That's really cool. I like when they do stuff like that. Book number 7 that I want to read before the end is Riftborn. And again, another book that's been on my TBR for a little bit, and I've been really excited to read it, and I just never got around to it. So you have this girl, Fia Riftborn, who has the secret of this hidden power that she's been keeping away from everybody. And then a series of events happen, and she ends up basically her power ends up exploding, which supposedly kills 2 royal daughters. She has one of 2 choices. She can either be executed or she can join a general, Lark Ashford, who has built a unit of special magic wielders. So he offers her the ability to come join his unit and work for him and be a part of this unit. So she has a choice between that and death. And then it says right here, it says, torn between surrendering to the chaos or becoming a weapon for those who took everything from her, Thea must confront her growing feelings for the general and face a dark truth that could shatter everything she's ever known. Sounds so good. And yes, there's going to be a book 2. I don't know if it's going to be a duology or if it's going to be a series, but it sounds so good. He was striking in a cold-blooded kind of way, like his beauty was tinged with poison. Unassuming, alluring even, he brought my eyes up to meet his. Thea Riftborn. The words dripped from his lips like blood from a dagger. Woo! Next we have book 8, and this one has definitely been on my shelf for a bit. It's even collected some dust. Yeah, I really want to read this book. You wouldn't believe it by the dust, but again, you know, when you've just got 40 billion books to read and you leave it up to your TBR jar, sometimes you just don't get to books. A rebellious princess, a cursed rogue, a forbidden love that will bring a kingdom to its knees. As niece of the king, Elise Lysander cares about 2 things: sneaking into gambling dens and avoiding an adventurous marriage at all costs. When her uncle holds the life of her deathly ill father over her head, reluctantly, Elise puts her fate into the hands of Legion Grey, the handsome and mysterious dowry negotiator. He may be arrogant and infuriating, but soon Legion incites a blistering, forbidden passion she can't ignore. As their attraction grows, so do the dangers. Attacks from black-eyed people, a cursed enemy who is more beast than man, and rumors of fate returning for the crown they believe was stolen from them long ago. After a bloody coup upends the kingdom, Elise flees with Legion, but nothing is as it seems. The man she allowed into her heart reveals his own secret plans with the return of magic, and he has every intention of using Elise to see them through. With war between magic and mortal on the horizon, Elise must pick a side to protect her kingdom. Does she stand with her people who stole the throne, or with the man who lied his way into her heart and whose secret past could bring her destruction? Filled with luscious world building, banter-filled romance, and epic battles, this first book in the Broken Kingdoms series is part Viking, part fairy tale. This is book 1 of the Broken Kingdoms series. Book 9, On Wings of Blood. This is definitely one that I want to read. This is by Briar Bolin. I read the series before this. I loved it. So it was like King Arthur's, but it wasn't at the same time. It was definitely its own. It was almost like it took the names from the King Arthur's stuff, but its story was all on its own. It all different, basically. Supposedly, the Bloodwing Academy series, although is a different series, supposedly, if I'm understanding correctly, there will be cameos with some of the characters from the other series. So I'm excited about that. This definitely has an academy setting, and it has me curious too, because the name of the main character of this book is Medra Pendragon. Now, if you've read the other series that I was talking about, Medra Pendragon actually played a role. There was a Medra Pendragon in the series before, but something happened to that Medra Pendragon, and I'm going, but now we got a Medra Pendragon here. What's the quinkadink? And it's already been told that although this series is a standalone, as in it's not connected to the other series, it is based in like the same world. So I am very, very curious. At Bloodwing Academy, blood is power and love is a dangerous game. I didn't sign up for this. A half-fae in a school of high-blood vampires, that's a recipe for torment. I'm Medra Pendragon, last of the dragon riders, or so they tell me. Funny thing is, there are no dragons left, not a single one. But somehow, that hasn't stopped the vampires from deciding I'm worth capturing. Now, I'm stuck at Bloodwing Academy, where the High Bloods run everything, and Blightborn, like me, we're just blood in their veins, pawns in their games. But that's not even the worst part. Enter Lake Drakeharrow. Cold, arrogant, and way too gorgeous for his own good. He's been tormenting me since the moment we met, and now, thanks to some ancient ritual, we're betrothed. He acts like he owns me, but I'm not going down without a fight. Bloodwing isn't just a school, it's a battlefield. High Bloods fight for power, and if you're weak, you're dead. Between deadly competitions, lies that could get me executed, and a dragon-shaped secret looming over my head, all I have to do is survive. Easy, right? Except I'm starting to think the real danger isn't the academy. It's what I'm becoming in this twisted game of power. And Blake, he might just be the one who pushes me over the edge. They think they can control me. They think they can use me. But they have no idea what they've awakened. Bum, bum. I love that. They have no idea what they've awakened. And so it sounds really good, but I also know that this author in the series before was really good. It was a very good series. I read the entire series. In fact, I've talked about those books in some of my earlier videos. If you're new, that's the main reason why I want to read this series, because I know that this author is a really good writer. But the last book, my number 10 of my 10 before the end, is A Fate Inked in Blood. And I do have book 2. The FMC Feyre was married, and her husband basically sets her up into this battle with the Regent's Jarl's son. Now, she has a secret. It just so happens that she has some of the goddess's power in her blood, and it is found out that she's the Shield Maiden. Now, this Jarl, who wants to basically rule the whole entire kingdom, keeps Feyre by his side because he wants to use her power. And so he tasks his son to keep an eye on her, to train her in her powers, in her abilities. Believing he's destined to rule Scaland as king, Jarl binds Feyre with a blood oath and orders Bjorn, his son, to protect her from their enemies. Desperate to prove her strength, Feyre must train to fight and learn to control her magic, all while facing perilous tests set by the gods. The greatest test of all, however, may be resisting her forbidden attraction to Bjorn. If Feyre succumbs to her lust for the charming and fierce warrior, she risks not only her own destiny, but the fate of all the people she swore to protect. So it almost seems like it's got like a forbidden romance type trope, bodyguard trope, kind of slow burn kind of story to it. And I'm here for it. And I just realized, out of all of my 10 before the end books, this is the only one that's not a fantasy romance book. Apparently, I'm just in the mood for fantasy romance. Sometimes I even amaze myself when I make these videos. It's eye-opening almost, I guess. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video here. Again, the chances of me getting to all of these books before December, probably not gonna happen. I'm gonna be honest. But that's not what this is about. Again, this isn't about the fact that I am going to read them. These are just ones that I would like to read. And it'll be nice to reflect on this later and see actually how many of these books I do get through before the end. I hope you guys enjoy this video. I hope you guys have a fantastic week. I did watch my Green Bay Packers get creamed by the Eagles today, so I'm feeling a little bummed. Yeah, they fought hard. We'll leave it at that. I'm gonna go drink a soda and curl up in my blanket and read because I need to feel better. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.